Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Splinter Cell Chaos Theory Map Tours. Today we're going to be looking at Warehouse, which is a map that a few of you have requested. Specifically, we're looking at Phoenix Warehouse, which is the sort of modern version of the map, definitely the most balanced version of the map thus far. This originally was a Pandora Tomorrow map, and definitely an iconic map, so there have been some pretty major changes made to the Phoenix version, in my opinion, for the better. Let's go ahead and jump in. So the spies spawn outside of the warehouse, out here in this little area out here, this little loading zone. And let's pull up the map initially here. So this one does require a little bit of explanation as far as how the map is set up for this version compared to the vanilla version. So this was originally sort of a 3-zone map where you had to do each zone one by one to progress to the next zone. So spies spawn out here. This is the sort of first zone. This is sort of like the main sort of warehouse area. They call it the missile storage area. And originally there used to be like 3 objectives in this area. You had to take one of them. You would then move on to the second section, which is sort of the office zone. You would take one objective from here, and then you would go on to the last zone here, the chemical storage zone, and take an objective to complete the mission. That system has sort of been done away with on this version because that version was fairly imbalanced, if you ask me. It was quite Merc-sided. Particularly Zone 1 was pretty tough for the spies because you basically just had 2 Mercs camping these 3 terminals, and they could pretty much have vision on all of the terminals at once, and you really had to get a knockout or something like that. You had to be really aggressive to take one of those objectives as the spy. So not the most balanced version. Now, in this Phoenix version of the map, what they did was they unlocked the first 2 zones from the start. So you can go to either this first zone or the office zone right off the bat. And then they added a panel hack sort of in this bottom area here, at the bottom of the staircase, to unlock the third zone. So in this first zone, you're going to have 2 computer terminals. There's one sort of over on this far side, and then one sort of under the stairs. The second office zone, there's going to be a computer terminal up in this office, and then there's one over in this meeting room. And then once you unlock the third zone via the panel hack, there's a bomb plant over in this zone. So you just take 3 out of the 5 objectives. So much better setup, much more balanced, spreads things out a little bit more, so the Mercs actually have to sort of go back and forth between the zones instead of just sort of camping one zone at a time, especially the first zone. So that's kind of the basic setup, and let's get into the actual map here. So from the spy spawn, there's a couple ways into zone 1. So these are the kind of main routes into zone 1. There is this little back alley, which is going to give you access to the other zones. We'll probably come back to this later, but this pole goes up into zone 2. This pole goes up into zone 3, and so does this hatch. Now, as you can see, these are sort of barricaded off initially for zone 3. So that's the one zone you do have to unlock via the panel hack. I do tend to like that mechanic. So from zone 1, there's a couple ways in. So you can take this sort of main pole, up to the top there. You can also shoot out the glass on either side. And there's a little vent that drops down just on the other side of this gate over here. And then there's this other entryway where you can take the underground tunnel, which is just going to pop out right over there on the other side of the gate over here. You can also climb up this little pole here to get a couple extra options. So you can jump this fence to get onto sort of the second level kind of catwalk area, or you can even continue further up, and this will get you up to the main kind of platform. This is the same place where the pole goes up to. There's this sort of main catwalk type thing in the middle here. There's another little scaffolding area that you can kind of get some view over there. And then you can also come into these couple other vents. So this one just drops straight down to the catwalk, or you can even kind of go further in to this vent and drop down again onto the sort of second floor catwalk. This is the main warehouse area. I think they call it the missile storage area is what the actual zone is called, but most people just call it Zone 1 or Sector 1. You can even see it here, Sector 1. So here's the two objectives. So there's one under the staircase right there, and then there's one over in this little corner kind of tucked away with a bunch of boxes. There's quite a few options for kind of getting vision and things like that. So you are able to actually climb these beams. You can get up all the way up in here, which is pretty useful. So you can actually go for like drop attacks, things like that. You can do some additional climbing. Let's kind of get up back into the rafters again, because there's a couple things to look at up here. So from this sort of main catwalk type situation in the middle here, again, you can kind of go for cams. You can get spy bullets, things like that. You can get pretty good vision. You can even kind of get up onto these things to really get some height advantage, things like that. You can get onto this here, kind of shimmy your way around along this sort of ledge grab, and ultimately make your way around to the other side to get above the stairs. A lot of mercs are going to be floating kind of in this sort of staircase area, because you can get pretty good vision from that area. So once you're kind of up over the stairs, you can have a better chance of getting off drop attacks and cams, things like that. You can even grab onto this like sign over here, shimmy your way around. Again, this is fairly discreet. You know, good mercs are going to be able to spot you doing this kind of stuff. But if you can get into, like, say, a position over here, you know, you're pretty hard to spot in the dark. You're right above the staircase. You can get some drop attacks off, things like that. So, pretty handy stuff. If we head down to the bottom really quick, as you can see, there's just kind of a bunch of boxes. You do have to be careful of, like, mines in this area. You know, a lot of mercs are going to put mines in these boxes because they're kind of hard to spot without listening for them and things like that. So, another objective over here by these boxes. Again, usually mines are going to be somewhere in these vicinities over here. If we look at the kind of spy spawn area, here's you can see where the vent drops out from the spy spawn over there, and then you can also see this is the little underground tunnel from spy spawn, so that pops out through the bottom. There is a med kit over there, definitely helpful to know that. And then there are a couple of ladders. Well, there's this one ladder here, I should say, for the mercs to use, and then spies can just kind of climb the boxes around, things like that. So they have a little bit more mobility in this first zone. And then just a bunch of scaffolding, things like that to hop around on. So you are able to use aggression to a degree. As the spy here, you know, there are some places for drop attacks, things like that, especially using those beams in the rafters or the upper catwalk. So, you know, kind of use your cams, use your drop attacks to try to get the drop on some mercs. And then let's look at some of the ways to connect into Zone 2, because as I mentioned, Zone 2 is open on this version of the map from the beginning. So from this lower area, there is a shaft with a pole that will go up into Zone 2, into a sort of little vent system up there. There is a one-way door. Mercs can just kind of use these doors. Spies have to push a button from the other side. So the spies can use these doors via the button from the other side of the door, and there's a couple doors like that on this map. On the other side of this door is the panel hack, which unlocks Zone 3. So it's actually on the other side of this door. We'll get around to it on the other side. Let's get up into second level so we can see the other couple ways into Zone 2. So here's the other entrance. Again, there is another one-way merc door over here. And then there's going to be a little vent which gets up into the wait. This is called the waiting room in this this little room here. This is the ceiling of the waiting room, and it leads over to the office objective, which the objective is right over there. So this is one entrance in, and then let's just quickly look at the other entrance in as well. So top level, another one-way Merc door, and then you can take this little vent, which will get you into the ceiling of the tech room. So this is the sort of tech room ceiling. There's a bunch of little like computer server type things down in there. And then this is actually the pole from Spy Spawn. So if you take Spy Spawn and take this pole, this is where it's going to pop up into, which is the ceiling of the tech room. Over here is the meeting room objective, so that's just one room away from this little tech room area. And then there's a couple little ceiling vents and things like this. So this is going to pop out into the main hall. Let's just kind of do our little loop of this sector 2. So these are these doors with the one-way buttons, so you can't open these up. That's going to lead you back to Zone 1. It is sort of like a square. So there's the waiting room in the sort of like bottom left corner. There's the tech room in the sort of bottom right corner. There's the meeting room, which is the objective room on this side over here. And then if you go to the sort of, I guess you could say, top left area is the office, which is the other computer objective in there. And then in the back here, there's the staircase, which goes down to the panel hack, as well as the one-way door back to Zone 1, first floor. So let's just kind of look at these rooms one by one really quickly here. Back to the tech room. So this one, again, you kind of come in through the ceiling up in there from the spawn. You can come through. You can just kind of use the ceiling to infiltrate. There is a health kit right here in this area. Definitely good to know. If you come into the meeting room, this is the objective room. So you obviously just hack the computer there, and then there is another sort of false ceiling that you can get up into. It doesn't really connect to anything. It's just to kind of hide, ambush, things like that. It is a thin ceiling, so you can be spotted with EMF vision by the Mercs. So you always got to be aware of using your goggles and things and your gadgets in the ceiling. If you look in the back corner of this room, there's this other little opening here that gets you back into the main hallways. If we continue on over to the office, this is the other objective. Again, you can get into the ceiling in here. And this one does have a little bit of a vent system that it connects through to. So this one just drops you back down into the hallway, which you can actually pop out here. You can even use this bookshelf to get back into this vent system from here. And then it's got this other vent, which connects down to this pole, this is the pole from the lower level of the warehouse. This is where that pole comes up to. So if you take that from Zone 1, you can even see it down here. We can even just pop down just to give you the context of where this comes through. So if you remember this little area with the door to the panel hack over there, this is where that pole ends up. So let's climb back up here. Once you're up in here, you can either just pop into the main hall once again. You can get into this, what they call the waiting room. There's another false ceiling you can get into. This false ceiling is where it connects to Zone 1. So we had kind of looked at this before. And then it allows you to drop down into the waiting room. There's another med kit in the waiting room. And then it's got this kind of silly little vent right here, which is literally just here and here that connects. So it just gives you a slightly sneakier way to get into the office. Let's go check out the other sort of middle section, which is the staircase. So as you can see, this is Sector 3 doorways. This is all blocked off right now. There's another doorway in the back here, blocked off. So if we go down these stairs, this is going to go to the panel hack. This again is the door to that like zone 1 area, so you can see how that connects. And then here's the panel. So if we hack this panel, this is going to unlock Sector 3. There's a couple ways out of here, so you can take that door back to Sector 1, you can go back up the stairs, or there's also this pole here which connects to the vent system, which is sort of like a little central vent here. If you take this through, that'll go just to the top of the stairs right there, or it allows you to pop back out to the sort of hallway system again. So back in this sort of loop. So that is essentially Sector 2. Now let's make our way back to Sector 3. So now these doors are unlocked, now that we did the panel hack. Kind of unlocks this back hallway, which does connect over to the other office objective in the back here. So it can even kind of help you get these other office objectives, because now you have kind of more convenient back hall that kind of links these two together. And then if you want to get into Sector 3 itself, you can jump up here in the back corner, and this is going to lead into this sort of like pipe system. So let's go this way first. So if you pop up out of this pipe, it's going to lead to this sort of little wall area, and then this is sort of on the side of Sector 3, so there's a little catwalk there. And then this is sort of like the main catwalk across the middle of Sector 3. As you can see, the bomb plants are down there. We'll get a better view of that in just a second here. But I just want to show you this little entrance point to Sector 3 first. Let's go back into the pipe. And if you go down through this part of the pipe, it will pop out onto these sort of like water tank type things. You can get a little bit better view now. That's all the 6 bomb plants down there. So this will give you a little bit better view of the area over here. And then let's pop back into the pipe one more time. Continue down. And it does have, you can even use these little windows to scout around kind of more discreetly. And then ultimately it'll pop out the far side. Again, just kind of on these little water tanks. And onto this sort of staircase area. So there's a couple extra things to know in the Zone 3 back here. Let's take a look at the entrances from the spy spawn as well. So here it is. So this is the entrance from spy spawn. This is sort of the lower entrance. So if we come out here, remember this is where we spawned initially in this front area. So now that we have Sector 3 unlocked, if you remember, there was a grate on that vent. That is no longer there, so now you can get into Sector 3. And then you can also take this pole, and it gives you one more infiltration route into Sector 3. So this will come around, and again, just kind of pops out right near where the other pipe infiltration point comes into. So it kind of leads to the same general spot. Once you're in here, there's a couple little maneuvers you can do, some little jumps. So here's kind of one of them, is you can get into this center catwalk situation. If you notice, there's also a zip line that connects. So if you take that kind of water tank, you can zip line to this center catwalk as well. And then there's a couple of these poles, so you can actually take these poles, which allow you to just cross over to the far, back side of this area, Zone 3. And then you can get a height advantage from the back of the room. And then there's also another little zip line over here, which just kind of lets you zip line back to the other side of this room. There's also this little vent here that just kind of allows you to get up. So if you make it to the back, you can kind of climb these boxes, get into that vent, get into the upper levels of this zone. So just a small little zone. There's also these little underground routes that kind of go around the back. Again, that's the spawn, or the spy spawn entrance. You can come around to this side. There's another little underground route. So it just kind of lets you get to towards the back of this zone a little bit more sneakily. When you plant the bomb, it's a 25-second timer. Pretty standard stuff there. And then the other kind of funny thing here is there is this elevator, which is for the Mercs, pretty much. It's kind of a slow elevator, so I don't see it get a whole bunch of use. But it could potentially be a little bit faster to get to the bottom. A lot of Mercs are just going to be kind of taking the stair system. There's another Merc door. That's going to go back to their security area, which does link around back to Zone 1. So it is, I'll pull up the map one more time here. Right now we're in this sort of Zone 3 chemical storage area. And then there's this little security room that connects to Zone 1. So Merc door kind of comes in through here and links back to Zone 1. So Mercs are able to sort of do a loop using their Merc doors, so they can kind of get from sector to sector a little bit more easily than the Spies, which makes sense. But that's kind of their whole setup that they've got there. So that is pretty much everything with the Phoenix Warehouse. Again, it is a pretty iconic map, Pandora Tomorrow map, so a lot of people have played it. A lot of people have at least run around in it by themselves, just exploring the map. I remember this was probably the first map I ran around in as a kid in Pandora Tomorrow, playing the original Pandora Tomorrow console release. If you're talking a little bit of strategy with this map, obviously as the spy, I think it's quite important to take that panel hack to unlock Zone 3, because that gives an entire other zone for the Mercs to have to defend, so it does keep them running around a bit more. You don't really want to take two objectives, like you don't want to take these two objectives first and then have only the offices and the bomb left. That would be pretty tough to get, because now the Mercs can essentially camp Zone 2 because they can protect the panel, they can protect the other two computers. So you probably want to get one from Zone 1, one from Zone 2, get that panel hack. Some people even prioritize the panel hack kind of first, so that you can kind of keep running and planting bombs, forcing the Mercs to go disable the bombs while you go hit the other couple sections. So that's definitely going to be pretty valid. As the Mercs, I'd say it's pretty standard practice to have one Merc guarding Zone 1, one Merc guarding Zone 2, and then just kind of helping each other as needed. So, obviously doing your call-outs, and if you've got a couple spies doubling one zone, then you can call the other Merc over to assist with that zone. So that's pretty standard practice. And then, doing your best to protect that panel hack. It is a little bit out of the way down at the bottom of the stairs. So you might want to set up mines, things like that, as best you can to protect that panel hack, because as soon as the spies get the panel hack, they're going to be able to use that bomb plant to keep you running around. So that's kind of the predominant strategy, I would say. But if you've been liking these map tours, please like this video, subscribe to my channel. I do have links to the multiplayer game itself in my YouTube channel description, as well as the software needed to connect to other players to form a simulated LAN connection. So use those links. I do try to keep them up to date for the current versions. And if you have any questions, comments, tips and tricks, things like that, leave some comments in the comment section below. But until next time, I'll see you all in the next video.